Good morning, everybody. So I am Yasha Franklin Hodge. I am the new Chief of Streets for the City of Boston, also serving as the Public Works Commissioner and the Chair of the Public Improvement Commission. So this will be my first meeting. Appreciate everybody's patience with me as I learn the ropes, but very glad to be here and looking forward to getting to know many of you who I'm sure have business before the Commission with some regularity. So with that, I will call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearing of January 13th, 2022. Mr. Lyman, please take the roll call.
Certainly. Representative from the Public Works Department, please state your name. That's you, Mr. Chair.
Yasha Franklin Hodge.
Great. Property Management Department.
Joseph Callahan.
Transportation Department.
Amy Gordon.
Inspectional Services Department.
Ryan Ronan.
Water and Sewer Commission.
Denise Devlin.
And Disabilities Commission.
Sarah Leon.
All present, we have quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman. On to the hearing minutes. So at the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of the minutes of the PIC hearing held on December 16th, 2021. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 16th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any oppose or abstain? So moved. All right, on to the business. So, on the joint petition of Eversource Energy and Verizon New England for a pole installation within Corey Street, Public Way, West Roxbury, to install one new utility pole to be located on its northeasterly side from address number 44, generally between Center Street and Railroad Street. Do we have the presenters for this who could give an overview of this?
Hi, good morning. My name is Catherine Flaherty, and I'm representing Eversource Electric this morning.
Hi, Catherine.
Good morning. So Eversource Electric, the electric vehicle charging team made provisions to use the existing pole. So we actually wish to withdraw this petition. I think it had been submitted too late to take it off the agenda, so it needed to stay on the agenda. And I need to just let you know that we wish to withdraw it.
Thank you for that. Mr. Lyming, is there any formal action needed for this withdrawal?
No, as long as there are no comments or questions by the Commission, that's all.
Any of the commission, any members of the Commission want to speak? All right. Thank you. We will consider this withdrawn.
Thank you.
So for new business, first item is 35 to 43 Braintree Street in Brighton. This is a pedestrian easement and specific repairs on a set of petitions by JSIP Braintree Street LLC. Would the presenters please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give a brief overview of the project and the various actions that you are looking to undertake here?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, and welcome, new Chair Franklin Hodge. Thank you for your time today. Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, and Miller, 28 State Street in Boston. We are the zoning and permitting counsel for this project. With me today, I believe, from the petitioner, JSIP Braintree Street LLC, is David Andronico. Our civil engineer on the project from Hancock Associates is Anthony Donato. We'll be sharing his screen and going through most of the presentation. And we also have from PCA Architects, Marisa Graff and Jessica Coyle. Mr. Chair, as you had asked, this project, just a little bit of background on the site and the project itself. The site is located at 35-43 Braintree Street in the Allston neighborhood of Boston. It's a land area of about 21,600 square feet. The site itself backs up against the MBTA commuter rail tracks and the Mass Pike, and it's actually adjacent to the new-ish Track 75 building and nearby to the new-ish Boston Landing as well. So the site, specifically in the area overall, were previously industrial. That has more recently, in the last 5-7 years, turned over to more of a multifamily residential neighborhood. The existing site, as a result, is now outdated. So the project would upgrade and transform the site, replace that a vacant and obsolete industrial building with a vibrant mixed-use residential and artist live-work development. So the specific proposal for the project is a 7-story building, 145 residential apartment units, 4 artist live-work units, on-site vehicular parking, bicycle storage, amenity areas, and related site upgrades. And these site upgrades as part of the project is why we're here today. They are to enhance the sidewalk experience. Previously, again, was industrial, so it's transforming to residential. There are different needs as a result, and as well as the public realm in and around the site of again, a formerly industrial site. So that's what's before you today. The project has already been approved by the BPDA for Article 80 large project review back in May of last year. It was approved by the ZBA in August of last year. And, you know, I'll close and say that a lot of the specific repair upgrades, the pet easement that's before you today came about as a result of this, you know, extensive Article 80 community outreach process, also, you know, a robust administrative city agency review process that occurred before we're here with you today. So with that, I will throw it over to, I think, Anthony Donato at Hancock Associates, and he can go through our petition specifically in some more detail. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Nick. Anthony Donato from Hancock Associates here, and Nick pretty much summarized everything pretty well. Here's the architectural rendering of the proposed 7-story building that's currently on site. That's proposed for the site right now, and to give you an idea of what is currently there right now is this 2-level, 1-story brick warehouse building on the right.
Oh, Tony, we can't see your screen. Sorry, I don't know if you're supposed to be sharing or not. I apologize. There you go.
I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. So,
you were describing it, but we weren't seeing it. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Nick. I clicked twice. So here's the existing building here. It's a 2-story brick warehouse building, vacant. And I'll bring up the rendering again. Here's the architect's rendering, the elevation of the building. And there is a, this would be the, this side is the south elevation that would face Braintree Street. And here is a rendering of the proposed improvements, which include the proposed street furnishings, which include benches and tables and artist areas and some tree plantings with some low ground cover also within the tree pits. This is the specific repair plan we're proposing. There's a continuous over 6.5 foot clear width along the length of the walk from one end of the site to the other. Here we're showing where the bike racks would be, and here are the planting areas. Within the bike rack areas, there are some porous pavers proposed, and for there's the pedestrian, the easement plan. I have to bring that up. That. This would be the easement that is provided to the city so that we can provide the street furnishings as shown on the renderings. We received Boston Water Sewer approval last month for the utility connections, and we've contacted all the agencies, public and private utility companies. We didn't really receive any comments from the private utilities. We received some comments from the public agencies, which we've addressed. We believe to have addressed all and are included within the engineering report that was submitted to Todd last week. So that being said, if there's any questions from the commission.
I'll open the floor to anyone on the commission who wants to speak.
You have the opposite streetscape of your neighbor who goes sidewalk and then has the landscaping and furnishing on the inside. You flip that so the transition from one to the other so that you're not walking into,
Which side, are you talking about the track 75 side?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
side, yeah, well, we have a wide sidewalk here, but it does transition nicely. There's an existing extremely wide curb cut here that we will be closing, and one of the comments that we received was to try to make this curb cut to the garage as narrow as possible. So that gives plenty of space here, I believe it's 11 feet, but basically what it does is it lines up with right here. So there is some extra space behind here, but it does match nicely with the existing sidewalk, which,
and then I guess on the screen that you just showed, it kind of seemed like the streetlight was in the middle of the sidewalk.
I'm sorry, for this side? Amy?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. So there's an extra sidewalk, but it lines up on this end. Here's where it would be connecting with the existing sidewalk with the track 75 building.
Yeah, and why is the light not at the curb line?
Well, the light was given to us from the lighting department, Tuan. I mean, we could run it by him again, but I sent this to him twice and he said it's been approved.
For the lighting level though, right? Not the like, doesn't make sense. Is it at least in line with the lights that you have further down in front of your property?
I believe so. I mean, this was provided to the lighting department. He actually gave us back a sketch, was it? And we drafted it towards the layout that they provided. And we sent it back to, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, but he approved it. If there's any concerns, Amy, I can certainly bring it back to him.
No, I'm not concerned, right? Like, I know that you sent it to them and they're usually checking lighting levels and the spacing of lighting, but not necessarily lateral placement within the sidewalk. So we should check that they're in a line, and then if they are in a line, that's fine. It just might, in this location, look slightly odd because there's no furnishing zone, so the light not being at the curb, right? So like, I get it, I'm just saying that like,
I think the thing is, there are no lightings on this side. Well, I think the only lighting on this side is in front of our site. So I think that's part of the process of when he laid it out. I think he took that into account, that there's really, I think once you get in front of track 75 building, the lighting switches to the opposite side of the street. So it's in line with our project in front of the site, along the frontage of the site. And I guess any other future development, I guess this would be.
Yep, nope, I just want to make sure it makes sense, right? Because you guys
Yeah.
are putting the first street lights out there, so wherever you put them is where we're going to get them for the rest of the street. If this is what makes sense, that's fine. I just want to make sure that we considered it.
Yeah. Okay.
Tony, can you go back to the artist rendition of your front door? Look really nice, that one. So I'm seeing some additional features that are occupying the sidewalk that may not show up, i.e. those benches and the young lady that is sort of having an easel. Can you amplify your thoughts on the permanency of those tables?
Marisa, are you on the project architect should be able to address that?
I can intro too, Marisa, and you can make sure I'm saying it correctly, but I mean, those are the artist live work units on the ground floor. So the thought was that on a nice day like today, they could activate the street by bringing out, I don't know if those are permanent is my question.
No, I think
I believe they're meant just to illustrate an active streetscape, because the artist live work units in their galleries and their workspace would be on the lower level here, you can see. I believe these spaces would not be permanent. But Marisa, do you want to chime in on that?
You have table benches on your specific repair plans. If they're not permanent, they shouldn't be on there. And if they are permanent, we should have a detail of what they look like.
Looks like they are. It looks like we do have them on there.
Yeah. I think the rendering of the easel, that is something that we're not proposing. I guess that would be someone who would bring that in themselves. But if you look at the specific repair, we do have these benches and we do have
Yeah, you say
provided-
table bench typical, we need a detail with dimensions.
Yeah, and here's the details that are included. These are the planters. Here's the benches that they're proposing, the fitness bench, table bench, and the bike rack details.
Okay, you're, obviously I'm going to assume all of this stuff is caught in your maintenance agreement or captured. Thanks, Nick, that's all.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the commission? All right, any comments or questions from the PIC staff or the public?
No, none.
All right, is 2 weeks enough time to address the concerns we've heard today? It is, all right, well, then we'll see
Absolutely.
you.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, then we'll see you on January 27th.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Moving on to our next item of business, new business, 101 Hampden Street in Roxbury, pedestrian easement and specific repairs, and a set of petitions by RAM Construction LLC. If the presenters can introduce themselves, their affiliations, and provide a brief overview of the project and the actions that they're proposing to take.
Sure, this is Mark Wickstead from Bowler. With me today representing the owner is Andy Macbeth with Greenleaf Construction. And co-presenting with me today is Emily Anderson from Bowler. I'll share my screen now. Hopefully do that right. Can everyone see my screen?
We can.
Okay. So this project is an FW Web facility. FW Web currently has a facility at 307 Dorchester Ave, and they'll be moving to this larger location and staying in Boston, which they really love working in Boston. The lot size here is 3.4 acres. They purchased this larger lot. They're going to build on roughly 2 acres of the 3.4 acres, and then they'll be leaving a future lot for some other development. We went through a fairly long process with the BPDA trying to get this right for the neighborhood, and we feel like we've done a great job. We did receive BPDA approval, and we also, as of yesterday, received Boston Water and Sewer approval. I'll go through the site plan in more detail, but this is kind of a high-level rendering of how things lay out. Some of the development includes blue bike station, a bunch of new improvements to the front of the building to activate Hampton Street, 10-foot sidewalk all along the frontage, and many other improvements to the general area. Just for location, this is the lot that was purchased by FW Web. It's the corner of Melnia Cass and Hampton Street. Currently, the area and the site were some buildings that were mainly not in use. There was one scrap metal yard using the property before the purchase. So the proposed site will include 2 driveways around a building that's 91,000 square feet. The driveway to the south, the parking lot to the south is for customers. The way the building works is this area is a plumbing self-service store. Basically, plumbers would come in here, pick up their supplies for the day, and then leave and go to their job sites. There's some office here, and then this is a warehouse. The second driveway closer to Melnia Cass handles all the trucking, which is back here in a loading dock, which is set back far from the street. Below the warehouse is an underground parking where all employees would park. And then this is the future lot that was going to be sold off for another development. We're proposing a new sidewalk along the frontage of the building, street trees. We have a pedestrian easement so that the total sidewalk is 10 feet wide. We'll have 5-foot tree pits and a 5-foot through sidewalk. The landscaping will be centered over here, the site landscaping. There's a little bit of landscaping in front of this part of the warehouse. Emily will go through the details of the sidewalk. I'll just show a couple more images just to give you some sense of what this will look like along the street. This is the lobby. This is the closest point the building comes to the sidewalk. The rest of the building is set back, but there is a 5-foot clear path in front of the lobby with trees in front of that. So that's generally what the building would look like. And then I think I'll hand it back over to Emily to talk about the, I think we'll start with the sidewalk easement.
Sure, thank you, Mark. We're proposing a generally uniform 10-foot width sidewalk or 10.5 feet to the face of the curb, which requires approximately a 5-foot easement onto the private property. The total easement area is a little less than 2,000 square feet. That would create a 5-foot path of travel behind the proposed tree pits. So we have the tree pits that are 5 feet by 8 feet, and then the 5-foot clear path of travel behind those. That's generally it for the easement. Mark, if you want to go to the next page, I can just talk briefly about the specific repairs. The specific repairs for the project include approximately 500 linear feet of reconstruction of the existing sidewalk and granite curb from the property line over to the edge of the building frontage. Includes new streetlights that were located in coordination with the street lighting division. It also creates 2 new curb cuts, as Mark discussed. The one for self-service customers is 22 feet wide, which was narrowed in coordination with BPDA staff as well as PIC staff. The curb cut for truck loading over to the right-hand side of the page is wider. It's approximately 36.6 feet wide, but we're proposing a stamped concrete apron, which will reduce the visual width of the curb cut for pedestrians. There'll be a uniform sidewalk across the curb cut, so pedestrians will not have to go down ramps or essentially alter their path of travel. It will be a uniform path across the driveway, but having the concrete apron will sort of, we're hoping, reduce the visual width of the driveway, which is required for the large delivery trucks that will come on site. And then just one more thing, I believe the Blue Bike Station on Milnia Cass Boulevard. It's located over on the edge of the future development lot, so not the current proposed building. In coordination with BPDA staff, we decided to locate it on Milnia Cass in order to provide increased visibility. So, and I believe some of those trees are not there today. They've been removed since the survey was done.
Do you want to just hit the truck?
Sure, just show the truck turns.
Yeah.
Just to give everybody a visual. The WV67s would be entering into the site, I think only a couple of times a day, or once or twice a day for deliveries of larger objects, but this is the radius that was determined to be required for those trucks to make those deliveries. Happy to take any questions now.
Thank you very much. I'll start with a question related to the truck, the curb cut for truck entry. Given the intent to develop the lot 2, I would be concerned about that lot also requesting or requiring a curb cut for access as well, thus adding to that stretch from Milnia Cass along this project site, having a 36-foot cut and an additional cut in very close spacing to each other. Has there been any discussion about some sort of easement that would allow this truck loading curb cut to also service the Lot 2 development, given especially the infrequency with which it's expected to be used by trucks?
Yes, I should have mentioned that. Sorry, Emily.
No.
This is intended to serve the future lot as well, and all the easements will be in place. And in part of the sale of the lot to whoever buys it, they would get utility and access easements in this driveway. And we've also kind of tried to work out a plan so that if they did have trucks, they could be in this area and, you know, everything would work okay. We spent a fair amount of time trying to make this area, you know, very functional and also hide it behind the buildings as best we can.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Any other folks on the commission who have questions?
So this easement property is your land and not shared with your neighbor? This is 100% your land today?
The overall lot is 100% our property today, 3.4 acres. We would be retaining 2 acres and selling off the rest for a future development. I can go here. You can kind of see the easement areas. So this would be a shared easement between the 2 entities.
Yeah, I guess that's my question. Is it a shared easement or it will be a shared easement? Is this been subdivided and a cross easement granted kind of situation, or where is that in this?
So as part of the ISD process, we're consolidating. The property is made up of many lots, as many as I've ever seen. So we're consolidating all the lots, we're subdividing and creating the easements. And when this is sold, it will be sold with the easements in place to that owner. They don't exist as of today because it's still one property, but this is the proposal.
Yeah, I think it's just important to document that with Todd in PIC, right? So that we understand what is coming in the future, and then the time horizon. Like, is this going to come up as a single parcel? Like, right, we're labeling it as a proposed easement, but I think that knowing when that happens and you know, right, we don't necessarily like to label things with proposed that aren't coming as a part of what you're doing.
Sure. We'll provide the, it's a consolidation subdivision easement plan. That's just about ready. We'll provide that to Todd for the record.
Has that been recorded? That subdivision, or can that subdivision be recorded along with that easement as well in the next 2 weeks?
I don't think it can be done in the next 2 weeks. But I'd have to check with.
So I think that this vote would then need to be contingent upon that happening, and us having the book and page numbers for the documents.
So the concern here is that, I guess I'm not sure why the proposed easement listed on the PIC plan isn't enough.
Because it's, as of now, fictitious, right? Like, I think it's more just that we need to understand, right? Like, the comment that we're making is essentially, we like this idea. We want you to share your driveway, particularly as it aligns with the trucks, with your neighbor. We just want to ensure that that's going to happen and have the documentation that supports that. And can you guys control everything? So like,
Yeah.
I don't want to make this an order of operations problem. More of a, this will be contingent on you providing us with the book and page of how this has been sorted out once you've consolidated and then granted cross easements.
Okay, I guess I just was wondering if there's something less than full-on recording of it just to keep this. Is there something we can do other than that would
Well,
be enough?
you don't need to record before the vote, but you'll need to record before you pull a permit.
Okay. That I think is okay, because the ISD, we're doing the subdivision plan as part of the ISD process anyways, so.
Yeah, and so they
The
would probably
subdivision
stop you
plan-
anyway.
Okay,
We're just gonna also stop you.
okay. I think I follow you.
Yeah, I think ISD, what they've told us is that that they wouldn't hold up the building permit, but it all had to be in place prior to C of O, is what they've told us so far.
Yeah, and I guess that we're more of a, like, when you begin construction, then who's has rights here is, I think, where, at the point in time when we want that to be kind of solidified. Because at that point in time is when we kind of get what we get and we can't get upset, right? Like, you know, like this is the moment, so it's the we'll vote on it and you guys can go do all of the consolidation and stuff, and I think that we can stay current with all of that, but we'll want the easement to be in place before this is constructed.
Yeah, putting the easement in place isn't a problem for us. It's just, we see potentially some issues with the consolidation plan. So there's one parcel that's giving us a little problem,
Well,
so.
we care way less about the consolidation than we do about the easement. So is the easement's in place, that can move as you consolidate, unconsolidate, as long as it, right, like it's traveling with the land. So like, how you rearrange your parcels and development parcels, et cetera, is less of a concern to us than the actual easement.
Right, yeah, just, if we were trying to do it all at once, it just may force us to do it in 2 steps, if that's gonna be the requirement, so.
Just pre-shovel.
Just to clarify, before the next hearing, what exactly are you asking for?
Nothing.
Okay, nothing, all right.
But the vote will be contingent upon you providing us this before you pull a permit.
Right, and which permit
Provide
are you?
nothing at the next hearing.
Which permit do you mean? A building permit?
Well, yes, so when you, I mean, like, all of your, when you want to actually begin construction is when we would like the easement to be in place.
To the chair, Brian Ronan, ISD.
Go ahead.
Yes, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, so you would effectively have 2 building permits, if I'm not mistaken, one for the consolidation or the subdivision or whatever your proposal is to combine those parcels. Has that issued or is that still pending in plan review?
That's still pending because this one parcel that's giving us a little bit of an issue is keeping us from submitting that at this point, so.
Okay, so the permit to erect the structure isn't really even started yet then, in other words?
No, it's everything's submitted for the permit to erect and it's been assigned a reviewer.
Okay, so it sounds to me like you're probably a little early, but Amy, they won't be able to get that permit issued until they have the PHC approval. That's part of the review process.
Yeah, no, I want them to have approval in 2 weeks contingent upon them solidifying the easement prior to construction. That's all I want to say next, but nothing needs to be given to me, at least, before 2 weeks. If ISD has a different situation, that's something else. But I'm just saying that, like, we can vote now, but it's that we don't want to build before we have this finalized.
Okay, I'll have it flagged.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions from the commission? Any comments or questions from the PIC staff or the public?
No, not at this time.
All right, it sounds like you feel comfortable coming back in 2 weeks and any additional material will be addressed by then?
Yes.
All right, see you in 2 weeks on the 27th. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, our third item of new business is 426 Stewart Street, Boston proper, specific repairs on a petition of the University Club. Would the presenters please introduce themselves, their affiliation, and provide a brief overview of the project and what's being proposed?
Good morning, Rick Latini with Howard Stein Hudson, and I'm joined here with Peter Nobley, who is representing the owner of the University Club of Boston. Gonna attempt to share my screen real quick here. Everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Anyway, this site's about 11,000 square feet. It's located in Back Bay, directly across from the John Hancock Tower, or what's known as 200 Clarendon Street nowadays. So we're here because the University Club is renovating their existing 5-story building. We're also in the Groundwater Conservation Overlay District, and so since this is a substantial rehabilitation, we need to recharge rainwater, at the equivalent of 1 inch times the impervious area of the site. Our problem is there is a basement and sub-basement level that occupies our entire lot. So hence we are requesting that the city allows us to install recharge wells within the sidewalk. So we have gone through the coordinated with the appropriate utility companies and city agencies. PIC and disability staff asked that we keep the recharge wells out of the pedestrian path as much as possible, even though they just have small covers. And we were also asked by Vicinity to keep it a certain distance away from their steam line in Stewart Street. So this is kind of the balance of the two. As it works out, these recharge wells are actually in line with the support post of an existing awning, so we feel like they're out of the pedestrian path. And I think everyone in the city and the utility companies are satisfied, but I'll certainly hand it over to the commission if they have any questions or comments.
Members of the commission?
I just want to thank the project team for working with our staff to find a place for these wells that are out of the pedestrian easement but still satisfies the requirements of the utility company.
Rick, have you checked your plans with the groundwater trust?
We are going, actually, I realized I sent final plans to Boston Water and Sewer right before Christmas, but I realized Phil LaRock did not write me a groundwater conservation overlay district letter, so I'll request that. I have a call with him this afternoon, so I'll request it then. He has not sent me the letter, but that will be cool.
Christian's here.
Oh, Christian, good to see you.
Hey,
good, thank you. Yeah, so Boston Water and Sewer has no comments with this. They just never sent. I just realized they never sent me the G-card letter, so I'll ask them to do that.
And,
Yes,
and we also need the no harm letter from you as well.
Yeah, yep, that's correct. Yep, understood.
And where in relation to our 2 existing monitoring wells are these recharge wells? Because I'm looking, but I don't see.
That's a good question. I see a symbol over here. I don't know if that's one of them, but I can certainly give you that information.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful to have our wells on this plan because we have one to the right of it and then we have one to the left of it.
All right, yep, I'll see if they're picked up by the survey. If not, we'll get them.
Okay. Jaska, welcome. You'll only see me here when I request something or complain about something, but other than that, you won't see me.
All right, well, thank you, and it's good to see you.
And I'm not complaining, I'm just asking.
Appreciate that.
That was an inquisition, that's all.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you.
Of course. Nice to meet you too. Any other comments or questions from the commission? Any comments or questions from PIC staff or the public?
No, we'll like to see that updated plan by next week if possible.
Sure, I don't think there'll be much on it, so that won't be a problem.
All right, so it sounds like 2 weeks is enough time to address all the things you've heard today?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, we'll see you on the 27th. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Folks.
Good day.
All right, our 4th order of new business. 2 H Street, East 1st Street, East 2nd Street, Vicksburg Street in South Boston. Pedestrian easement, specific repairs on a set of petitions by H Street Associates, LLC. Would the presenters please introduce yourselves, your affiliations, and give a brief overview of the project and what's being proposed here?
Yeah, my name is Peter Zagorianakis. I'm the developer and owner of the property. I am joined with Jonathan Miller of my development team and Ron Bennett, our architect. And we are, this is a 66,000 square foot half block lot that's in between H Street. I'll share my screen. It's in between H Street, East 1st Street, East 2nd Street, and Vicksburg Street. And we are proposing 127 residential units with 6,000 square feet of retail space along East 1st Street, and 152 parking spaces. It's 4 stories on East First Street, it's 3 stories along East Second Street. So we are dealing with 4 sidewalks. We have sidewalks on all 4 sides of our building. East First, 8th Street, and 2nd Street are our main streets, and Vicksburg is more of an alleyway. So we've proposed an easement to make all the sidewalks work. So we're giving a little bit of land on each street, and we are increasing the width of each sidewalk along 8th Street, 1st Street, and 2nd Street to 9 feet, which gives us a 3.5-foot tree well and a 5-foot net sidewalk passageway and 6 inches for the curb. We've got new trees going in along East 1st, 8th, and 2nd Street, along with conduit for future electrical, low voltage and high voltage. We're working a couple of existing street lights, installing some new street lighting. We are eliminating the curb cuts on 8th Street and East 2nd Street and East 1st Street, and creating one 18-foot curb cut on East 1st Street for our entrance to our garage. And on Vicksburg Street, I think is the most interesting street because we have, I'm going to enlarge this for a minute, but we have utility poles that are in a existing sidewalk. There really isn't a sidewalk there. It's a path with utility poles in it. So we are actually have almost an S-shaped easement that goes around to give a net 5-foot pedestrian way, at least 5 feet all the way down Vicksburg. I think I'm going to open it up for questions at this point in time from the commission.
Peter, we only saw the 3D view that you first presented. I don't know if you were trying to show us Vicksburg as well.
Oh, you can't. Oh, I'm sorry. I got the plan. Let me share this. I'm trying to share the PID plan. So maybe excuse me for there you go. So this is the PID plan.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
Can you guys see that now? So I apologize for my technology efforts here. So I'll go back through that a little bit. We're closing curb cuts along. Can you see my cursor? I'm sorry about that. My cursor right here. We're closing a curb cut along East 2nd Street. We're closing curb cuts on various lengths of 8th Street. We're also closing curb cuts on 1st Street in this corner here, and we're creating one 18-foot curb cut. We have trees along East 2nd, 8th Street, and East 1st. We are also putting in some bike racks along 8th Street and East 2nd Street. We also have 152 bike racks within the building itself. And we are giving an easement on all 4 sides of the property to make the sidewalks work with a 3.5-foot tree well and a 5-foot net sidewalk on East 1st, East 2nd, and 8th Street. And along Vicksburg, you have 3 utility poles, existing utility poles here, that are in the middle of the passageway on the alleyway. And we are going to do an easement that gives you an S 5-foot pedestrian way along Vicksburg to go around those utility poles. Also making the handicap ramps work on both sides of the intersections that we're intersecting. Now I'll open it up for questions. I apologize for the technology.
Thank you for showing us the plan view. I guess I'll just start with a question, which is that I'm seeing on this plan a number of what appear to be planters that are in line with tree pits closer to the curb line, also on the 3D drawing that was shown previously, there appeared to be planters and temporary tables that were set up right along the edge of the tree pit. And so I'm unclear as to whether that 5-foot number that you referred to represents a clear pedestrian path of travel inclusive of tree pits, planters, and any intended furnishings that would go on the sidewalk area.
We actually have, the sidewalk along East First Street is 9 feet, but we have an additional setback on our property for tables to activate future retail. So our setback is either greater back. Those tables and chairs you see are on our property, not on the sidewalk.
Sure, but I'm asking about the path of travel.
We don't interfere with the 5-foot path of travel.
Okay, got it.
Because all of those are on our property. We have our own setback along East First for tables. That's our property. So we're not interfering with the path of travel at all.
Got it. Open it up to members of the commission for questions or comments.
On both East, well, maybe all streets, but definitely East First and East Second, you're showing your street lights right next to your trees. You need at least 15 feet of spacing, and that's definitely not achieved in a bunch of these locations. The light can't be in the tree. And so also on East First Street, you say you're putting in lighting, but then when we get to East Second, it says you're putting in a base and that the street lighting department is going to supply and install the lights on East Second. And I guess my question is, why is that the case? And has street lighting agreed to that?
Yes. They have agreed to that. We'll move the locations were reviewed with street lighting. This is the first comment on the trees and the lights. I mean, happy to move them over. What would you say is 15 feet?
Yeah, so they're going to give you a 30-foot spacing, right? And Parks will essentially do the same with the trees, making a 15-foot spacing between tree and light.
Gotcha. So it's centered. It's pretty much centered in the trees.
Yeah, right. So if they set the lights with you, then you got to make the trees work in between that, or go back to them to redistribute the lights. And I guess my question is, why are we installing the lights on East Second?
You are installing, because you requested, we've been through this process for 9 months and we've never proposed we proposed a couple of new lights, and lighting wanted a couple more, and I agreed with, if they wanted them, we put bases in for them and they would put the lights. So that was the agreement we made with the lighting department.
So you weren't, typically when a development goes in, you provide the lighting. So I guess I'm unclear as to why East Second Street is different than everywhere else.
Because this is the agreement we made with the city during the process.
Or check with our team, something is not adding up here.
Yeah, we'll check with street lighting, or rather the project should check with street lighting and just reconfirm that the spacing is appropriate in relation to the trees, and also that who's installing the bases and who is installing the light fixtures themselves is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Todd, get something from Mike, because something's absolutely not adding up here.
Well, and if we agree to it, where you get it in writing too, because like when this is all said and done and there's no lights out there, you'll want a piece of paper that says we're doing it as well. So I think that whatever the answer is there, we should memorialize it.
Okay, so we'd like us to go back and get it in writing from them? Is that what you would like?
I also want to revisit the previous question that I had raised around pedestrian path of travel. The corner of the building that you're currently focused on along Vicksburg and East First Street, and forgive me if this is my misreading or of your plans, but what I'm seeing in there is a notation of a 5.5 foot sidewalk width, but I'm also seeing raised landscape beds in that looking at the other corner of East First and Vicksburg, along
Which way
don't
would
know.
you like me to go? This way?
Vicksburg, yep. So
Okay.
along Vicksburg, the sidewalk width there, if I am reading the plans correctly, and I may not be, is 5.5 feet, but there appears to be raised landscape beds within that zone.
No. Within the easement line is this red line. If I'm reading that.
Can you scroll down slightly, please? So we can see.
Yep.
Okay. So what I was not seeing. Okay. So the 5.5. Got it. Okay. Yeah. I couldn't see on the plan that you had where that 5.5 measurement was going from, but it does appear that that's from the edge of those planters to the curb line. So that answers my question.
And so, so we've tucked it all in so that we've gotten rid of some of our landscaping so that it works all the way down the street. Same way. It was completely
Any other questions from commissioners?
A small adjustment to the plan is that the intersections of Vicksburg, I think East First as well as H Street and East First, is that those ramps should have flares instead of return curbs if there's not going to be an obstacle or a sign in that area just to prevent a tripping hazard. So if the team could address those ramps specifically, that would be great.
Okay, the ones on Vicksburg and in the intersection of East First.
Yeah, so the ramp that we're looking at right now, as well as the ramp where East First intersects H Street, those are the two that I caught, but if there are any more, that should be addressed as well.
Okay. Great.
Any other comments or questions from the commission? All right, any comments or questions from the PIC staff or the public?
No, if you need a copy of Public Works' standard details for those ramps with the wings, let me know and I can provide that.
Jonathan, will you take care of that? I would appreciate it.
Sure. Absolutely.
Do you feel that 2 weeks is enough time to address the items that you've heard today?
Yes, we do. So we're going to move the lights and address the ramps, and we'll get the plan back to you within 2 weeks. That'd be great.
All right. Well, we will see you on January 27th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You guys, thank the whole commission and all the help we've got from the PDA, the BRA staff as well. Thank you very much.
Moving on to our fifth item of new business, Summer Street, South Boston, grant of location on the petition of DC Systems, Inc. Would the presenters introduce themselves and provide a brief overview of the work and what's being the actions proposed? Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. My name is Ruby Walker. I'm here with Tom Agresta on behalf of Sienna Engineering Group representing TC Systems. Thank you very much for the opportunity to discuss the projects before us. And with that, I will jump right into Summer Street. Let me try to share my screen here. And one moment. So beginning at the Verizon manhole, sorry, one moment, so that we have an issue. So construction will begin at Verizon manhole, beginning at House Road and extending along Summer Street to a point where it reaches the private property. Again, apologies for the technical issues this morning. Sorry, so again, we're going from Pump House Road to the Verizon manhole and extending 500 29 feet to the proposed manhole on private property. One, and which we replace the manhole to avoid pedestrian right away. And yeah, any questions, feel free to reply.
Any questions or comments from the commission?
What does this serve? What are we
So
connecting?
this is to provide service to customers in the area.
Any additional questions or comments?
Ms. Walker, I'm having difficulty seeing the side streets. Could you please amplify roughly where on Summer Street? Amy, is this part of the Summer Street that we already built, or are they cutting up something new? Where are they going?
No, I mean, this is a mess right now, so cut away. But yeah, I was more what we're connecting, if this is a single DAS node or if we're serving a customer.
So this is Summer Street more towards South Boston, past the...
Right before we get to your brand new bridge, Para.
Lovely. Okay, thank you.
All right, hearing no other comments or questions from the commission, any comments or questions from the PIC staff or the public?
No, none.
All right, and it sounds like there are no questions to address. Are you prepared to come back in 2 weeks?
Yes, ma'am.
Hard to hear you there. Can you repeat, please?
Yes, we're prepared.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And our next order of new business, which I believe is the same presenters, is Womancy Way, Staniford Street, Boston proper, granted location on petition by TC Systems, Inc. So please proceed.
Thank you again. Yes, so can everyone see my screen still?
Yes, it's still on the Summer Street view.
And now?
Still Summer Street.
All right. Is everybody able to see the plan?
Perfect.
Excellent. So the proposed construction will begin at the existing joint cement TCB manhole and extend to the proposed manhole, and from here it will diverge in 2 directions. One section going to the existing Verizon manhole, the second going to the Comcast manhole. And the project will occupy a distance of approximately 376 feet. And this work is to provide service to customers in the area.
Are there questions from the commission?
We have a lot of loops, green paint, guidelines, et cetera, that go through this intersection that need to come back after any cuts are made.
Absolutely, we'll restore all and any damaged surfaces to pre-construction conditions.
And then I guess just a question about what's happening here. You're coming out of a Verizon manhole, you're coming out of a Comcast manhole into a new manhole, which all leads to one light pole. What's
well, we're connecting to the SNRTC manhole over here.
So this is Extenet, Comcast, and Verizon coming together in a manhole?
No, so this is our fiber optic cable that we're installing, and we're breaking out the Comcast manhole here and then Verizon manhole over here.
TC Systems leases conduit from Verizon and Comcast. So we have existing infrastructure in this area that we are looking to bolster, basically.
Right, so you're trying to connect your rented conduit?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions from the PIC staff, excuse me, from the commission? Any comments or questions from PIC staff or members of the public?
No, none.
All right. So hearing none, you are prepared to come back in 2 weeks? All right, we will see you then on the 27th, on January 27th. And I think that concludes all of the new business for this meeting. So thank you to the presenters for that. Moving on to administrative matters, we have one item on our agenda, which is upon nomination by PAC representative of the Public Works Department, appoint Transportation Department Interim Commissioner Bradley Garrett or his designee Amy Cording as the Vice Chair of the Public Improvement Commission. Mr. Lyman, can you briefly explain what this is about?
Certainly. This is very similar to what has been done in the past. It simply nominates the transportation representative as the vice chair in the event that a public works representative is not available for any particular hearing.
Any comments or questions from the commission? Any comments or questions from PIC staff or members of the public?
No, none.
Do I hear a motion to approve this nomination?
I don't think Amy can make the motion.
All right,
I make a motion. I make a motion to appoint the Transportation Department representative, Interim Commissioner Bradley Garrett, or his designee Amy Cording, as the Vice Chair of the Public Improvement Commission.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I guess at no point do I have to accept this.
Well, you can abstain from the vote if you so choose. Any oppose or abstain? All right. So moved. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you all very much, and looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.